Hello, welcome to Yarn Chaos, episode 2. My name is Birki. I am a maker from Iceland. I am a knitter, I crochet sometimes, and sew as well. This podcast is mainly about knitting, but if I do dabble in some other hobbies, I will be showing them off here as well. I want to start by thanking you guys who checked out my first episode and gave me a like and subscribe, and those of you who commented below. It's very sweet. I can't tell you how surprised I am by it all. Every time I got a notification, my stomach did a little jump. I made some connections, and to be honest, I'm very just thankful, I guess. I thought I'd kind of be talking to myself for the first couple months, to be honest, and I'm just so glad that there are other people on the other side of the screen who enjoyed my first episode, and hopefully I will continue to inspire you by what I'm making. I'd love to know what you're making. You could share that in the comments below, and yeah, just thank you so much for coming back. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you like what I have to offer. I'm naturally soft-spoken and introverted, a homebody, everything that goes along with that. I was very nervous in my first episode, and I still am. So I'm hoping this will get easier and won't be as nerve-wracking. I decided at the beginning of this year to put myself out there and get myself out of my comfort zone. In Icelandic, we call it ögra sjálfan sig, and that's, I don't know if ögra has a word in English, but basically it just means to get yourself out of your comfort zone and do something new. So I always wanted to start a podcast, have wanted to for a couple years, but I just never had the courage to do it. So bear with me as I'm figuring out all the technology stuff and the constant ums. I'm very aware of it now after watching my first episode. I'm gonna try to be very conscious of my ums, and yeah, it is a hard habit to break. So thought we'd just jump right in. I am wearing the Lattice shawl by Maria Montzka, who had the podcast Stitched in Sweden. She is an American living in Sweden, and she was podcasting for a while and gave out a couple of very beautiful patterns, and this is one of them. I made it using Woolen Vines. I think it was her cashmere base. This colorway is called Enjoy the Silence, which I think is just hilarious, because when I bought this, my younger two were just babies, and we were living in America, and I was homeschooling my oldest two, and so it was a busy household, and the colorway name, Enjoy the Silence, I just got a kick out of it, and I thought I'd have to, I just had to snatch it up. So the lighting's not that great. We are in winter time here in Iceland, and I've got some lighting and a circular light, and I'm hoping that it's not too bad. But this is the shawl. The colorway has like speckles of like turquoise green, purples, pinks on like a cream color. The shawl pattern starts with a garter, and then it goes into a lace section, and then you knit the border onto it in sections, which this was the shawl that made me fall in love with knitting shawls. It was my first, I used to crochet, that's my first love. I crocheted a lot at that time when my younger two were babies. I made them little amigurumi teddy bears, and I've always made baby blankets that are crocheted. So that was like my brain just wrapped around the one hook, you know, projects. And at that time, I just found 2 needles fiddly, but that was about the time, about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I started really falling in love with knitting, made the shawl, and got through the lace work. And then this took a while to knit. This is knit back and forth, and you always pick up a stitch on the shawl here and you know, knit back and forth all the way down to the center, work that a certain way, and then all the way back up this way. So being my first shawl, I found the border the hardest, took the longest, but I love this shawl, and I've knit plenty of shawls since then, and they're not all shawls I gravitate to anymore. You know, your style changes, your color palette changes, but this is a shawl that is like, it's feminine, and I love the little, you know, the border, and I don't have a shawl that looks like this. So for some reason, this is a shawl that I grab often and really love, and it's in dire need of a wash and a block, but it's keeping my neck warm, and it's nice and cozy. But yeah, Lattice shawl by Maria Montzka, and yarn is by Kristen from Woolenwind. The border was knit with a stash yarn of mine, which was just a cream, probably from Cascade Heritage, their sock base, pretty sure. So that's what I'm wearing. Really gonna try to stop saying that. So in my first episode, I was knitting a wool sweater for my daughter, and I had finished it completely. I had just yet to sew in the ends, wash it, and block it, and I have since then done that. She tried it on, and I couldn't get her to let me take a picture of her. Oh, sorry, let me just turn this off. Couldn't get her to let me take a picture of her in it or a video, but she tried it on and it fit well. It's a little loose. It blocked out really well. I can't remember what yarn I used. I don't have it with me. It's in my first episode, but it's not the Álafoss Lope or Létt Lope or the Plötu Lope. It's a commercial yarn that I can't. I'll put it on the screen if I remember. But it blocked out really well. She didn't want anything itchy. I did short row shaping for the back, and that's the only modification I made. But this is it, and it's very drapey. I'm so glad I finished it. I said on the podcast that I was going to do it that day. Didn't happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I say it and then I knew I wasn't going to finish it, but I did. It's been a week since I podcast last, and I finished it, and I'm really glad. So, seems we're talking about wool sweaters. I have one that I also have knit and washed and blocked, but I have like a couple of hours left to work on it, and then it'll be completely finished. Again, I don't know why I do this. Do you guys do this? I'll like have like something that requires a little bit of thinking, a little bit of planning, and I'm just like knitting bits done, and I just forget about it for a while. I made a wool sweater for myself in these colors, and I have yet to steek it. As you can see, it's pretty long. It goes past my butt, I cast on with the rust here, the rust color, and then went straight into the main color. That's one of the modifications I made. I did the same on the ribbing at the bottom, and I knit 1 by 1 ribbing and folded it over. The pattern is a bit different. I'm going to show you how the pattern is, but all I have yet to do is to pick up stitches along the edge, knit the what is it called, button band, and once I have done that on both sides, I'm just going to cut up the middle, and then it'll fold in on itself, and I'm just going to kind of whip stitch the ends so they're not raw, and that should be it. And I'm going to make the button band kind of wide. Even though I chose a size above my bust, I want it to be a little bit looser than it is. So, but when I made this sweater, I wanted like, I don't know if you guys had ever watched, you remember that show, that 70s show? I wanted a sweater that reminded me of that, and I wanted a sweater that reminded me of the 70s. I love the colors, and I just wanted like an, you know, old school sweater, and that's why I chose these colors. I want to show you the pattern. It is, I found it on Ravelry. I have a lot of knitting, well, not a lot, but I have a couple of decent knitting books that have good patterns for wool sweaters, but I couldn't find any that I had in my mind. I had a certain color palette, and I wanted it to be simple, but not too busy. And so I went on Ravelry and I searched up some sweaters, and I found this one, and it's called Birki. I'm going to have it here on the side so the lights don't get all crazy on here. And as you can see how the collar is here and how they did the ribbing, I changed it a little bit. And the sleeves and hem at the bottom. And I also, I think I shortened the yoke a little bit, pattern there. No, I didn't. I had it. It's just the collar. But it's called Birki. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry called Birki. It has sizes 43 1/4 inch bust, 48, 52, 55, and that's where it stops. So from 110, 122, 134, and 140. Yeah, that's pretty much my plan. And it's really nice to have some kind of, you know, push to get you to finish things. And as I was going through my stash, I was looking for some sock yarn for a project I cast on this week. I saw the sweater and I was like, you know what? I just washed and blocked my daughter's sweater. Let me pull this out and just finish it. It's been really cold this winter here, and I could really do with a nice warm wool sweater in my wardrobe. So this will get done this week. I don't know if I told you the colors. It's just a brown, like a heathered brown, a rustic orange, and like a curry yellow. So that's that. And speaking of sweaters, I'm gonna just slide right into my whips. I am almost done with my love note. I'm on like the final steps. I have finished the body since the last episode. I finished the one sleeve and I'm on to the second sleeve. Let me show you. So this is the first sleeve, and I did a I-cord bind off, which is not in the pattern. I'm always doing something. I can't help myself. I just do it before I even know it. But it hits me like right here, and I have watches and other things, and I always pull my sweaters up anyway, so I prefer this. It's called like the bracelet length, sometimes even here, like right past my elbow. A lot of my sweaters hit me there, but this one's like right here. And I think I knit two together, a full circle, so I you know, what is it called? Minimized my stitches by half. That doesn't sound right, but You get what I'm saying? And then I shortened my needles from 5.5 milliliters and went all the way down to, I think, 2.5, and just did an I-cord bind off and finished my edging like that here. I have one more sleeve to knit, and then I'm going to pick up the stitches on the hem. And initially I was going to do short row shaping and raise the back, but after doing this to the sleeve, I'm thinking I like how it lays on my neck and being open like it is, and I think I want to do I-cord bind off on the neck as well. And on the bottom, it's higher in the front than it is the back, and I did 1x1 ribbing, and then I can't remember the cast off that I did, or the bind off. I was looking for, can't remember the name of it, but I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes. But it fits really well, and I'm gonna be so happy when it's done. And after seeing this sweater, like, I love sweaters held with mohair, which I know I can't have only mohair sweaters in my wardrobe, but this is just so soft. It's light, and it doesn't use up a lot of my hand-dyed fingering weight yarn, as opposed to if I would have knit a fingering weight sweater in like 3 milliliters or 3.5 milliliters, it would have taken way more. But I love the way this is, and I can see this is like a soft peachy pink, and I really want a green sweater held with mohair with a lace work. But I've done the ranunculus, a couple of those. This is my first love note, and I'd really like to try a new pattern that has a different thing, so I'm not just the same pattern, different colors. So that's my love note. That'll definitely get finished in the next couple days. And then I cast on 2 new projects, and I haven't had socks on the needles for a while, and so I was rummaging through my stash, as you do, and I found a yarn that I had used. Oh no, I think I've lost the tag. Maybe I put it here. Yep, here it is. So this is the, I don't remember how you say it, Mondim. It's 100% Portuguese wool, sold as sock wool. And I made socks for my daughter in this color. It's actually very similar to my shawl, actually. It has the minty greens, the purples, the pinks, and so far it's held up really good. It's even got some grays and like light grays and dark grays in here. Her socks have held up really good. I don't know if I would knit with this yarn on adult socks, but I mean they're advertised as socks. So, but these are my socks. I usually knit my socks most of the time. I knit my socks 2 at a time, and Chowgu is my go-to needles. There is just, let me just take a little side note on needles. So once I learned how to start toe up, doing 2 at a time, sometimes it's so fiddly, and I could just be like, ooh. So then I'll just have 2 different sets of needles, and I'll do the toe and increases separately. So I'll have this on one set of needles and the other one on a separate one, and then I'll attach them and finish the sock with them 2 at a time. Most of the time I just use 1 set of needles and start both toes at the same time, but it's yarn management can get kind of crazy when you're just starting out, but once you get the toe done, it's easy as pie once you've gotten used to it. Got some hair in my mouth. But needle rant a little bit. Not a rant, but like a little bit of a side note. I used to use Haya sharps for knitting socks, and I loved them. I thought they were the best needles I've ever tried, and I knit magic loop, and the cord on the Haya, it can get so stiff, and the memory on that thing is like ridiculous, and it just gets irritating when the cord starts acting like that. So once I tried Haya, there is absolutely no memory in this cord at all. I will knit them like this, back and forth, and then I'll hold the one needle and it will just hang. It might curve a little bit, but the cord, this is the best sock needles that I've tried. If you prefer metal needles, these are quite pointy, but definitely recommend. So these I'm making for my daughter. As you can see, the toe is in a different yarn. So I was in America this past summer visiting my husband's family and my sister, and so I bought some Patons Croix in a gray color. I needed a project, and I needed this for just a little bit of it, and I had so much left. I've got 2 of them that I decided to use them as toes, heels, and cuffs for this one. And I haven't had socks on the needles for a while, and I remembered why. They hurt my hands. So if I'm knitting on them for an extended period of time, the next day my hands are just done. And I used to take socks to work with me, and then it's just like 15 minutes here and there, or like on the go. If have to wait somewhere in a waiting room or whatever, I think moving forward, socks are going to be my like travel knitting project, because if I sit in the evening and I'm just working away at a sock, I'm going to ruin my hands. So this project bag is from the Fawn and the Fox. I used to watch her podcast many years ago. I think I mentioned her in my first podcast. I got mixed up with bags, but this is one of them, one of the bags I have from her. It's beautiful. It's kind of long, but I like that because I will fold it down and it becomes like a little bucket. So it'll just sit like that. And my little yarn balls will just run around in there, or twirl around, or roll around. And so those were my socks. I cast on 60 stitches, and I'm making them for my daughter. My little baby is in size 38 shoes, so it's like making grown-up socks. That's where we're at. So my other project that I cast on this week, I'm keeping in my mud bag that my mom gave me. She went up north to Akureyri, and there's a store there, a yarn store that has been open for just a few years. I can't remember the name of it. I'll try to put it on the screen or in the show notes below, but I would have never bought this bag for myself. I'm just going to be completely honest. But she bought this for herself and brought me one home, and I am just so grateful. It is a beautiful bag. It has a zipper pocket here and on the other side. I keep a spare needles, my scissors, and measuring tape in here. Chapstick, you know, that whole bit. And then inside, this is like the perfect bag to, you know, slide in your purse, in your backpack, or if I'm just sitting like in my chair, it'll fit between my leg and the arm of the chair, and it'll just be nudged kind of like secure in there, and I could just knit, and it doesn't go anywhere. Try to say trying not to say see how it is. But anyway, so in this bag I have my other project that I'm making. It is the Oslo Hat by none other than Petite Knits. I feel like in almost everybody's knitting her pattern. She's just making it big. So the lighting's so bad, you can't even, I don't know if you can see the color here, but this is it. You knit and then you turn around and you knit the other direction. I'm almost to where I need to start decreasing. I'm going to knit a little bit more, and then you just kind of fold it up. Probably saying too much about the pattern, but it's a great hat. It looks store-bought, which is great because you don't really want to, I don't know, you fold it up somehow like this. And I love this color. Again, my mom went to Arwetta. I've had this bag for at least a year. She went again just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and she brought me back this yarn. It's Arwetta, and it's in this like beautiful green color. And this color made me want a sweater in it. That's why I was knitting on my Love Note and I saw this color and I was like, wow, this would be really beautiful in a sweater with a lace yoke held with mohair. And I think I will end up doing that because I'll have a lot of this left over, and I think I'm just gonna order more and knit up. This colorway is called, well, it's number 148, and green is my favorite color. It is just the best color, if you ask me. But my main color palette, and what you'll probably see here the most, is just like earthy tones, greens, browns, grays. I love a good black, and some peachy pinks. They've been trickling their way into my life the last couple of years. I love my yellows and golds, rust colors. It's pretty much what you can see here. So, but this project, I am almost done. This is a project that only takes a few days with little knitting time. If that's all you got, you can definitely finish this within a few days. So that's the Oslo Hat by Petite Knit. And I think we're at, what are we at? We're like halfway in. I think I want to talk a little bit about future knits, and then I'm going to talk about some podcast love. So future knits, I'm going to get my iPad out because I have, oh, here it is. Okay, so I have, okay, you're going to wobble a little bit, move a little bit. Okay. I have some yarn that I found in my stash when I was looking for sock yarn. And it's leftovers from a sweater that I made. I made a sweater that has like a 50s style. It has like puffy arms, and it's like cropped and buttoned in the top and like, you know, tight, like negative ease, out of this wool here. Big merino, drops big merino. And it's like you're supposed to use 5 milliliters, which is a US 8. This sweater ended up being so heavy, I don't use it. It just feels too heavy for the, just for the look of the sweater. And I never use it. I'll probably end up just giving it away or repurposing the yarn. But I have a couple, I have 2, almost 3, which is plenty. And I decided to make a hat because I also found this little guy, and I think a good black cable hat is going to be great to have for these winter months, and not just for me, like my daughters, both of them will use it, maybe even my sons. But I have to find the hat that it's just like a snap-on, and I knit a hat and it's too slouchy and it's made out of silk, and I need to repurpose the other piece to this. So I know it's in the foyer, just need to find it, repurpose that, and add it on. But the pattern, I've been watching some podcasts this week, and the pattern that I found is called the Dorothy hat by Claire. She has a podcast called the Flossi podcast, And let me show you her. I'm going to show you this pattern. So she has her own website too. So if you can't get onto Ravelry, you can go on her website, Flossi, Flossi. That's her brand name, I believe. And look at this beautiful hat. I think this is going to be so gorgeous. So even though the yarn is in black, I think it's going to show up really well in this pattern. And yeah, I can't wait to purchase the pattern and start. So, and I think this is going to be a hat that maybe I'll even be very smart and put it in like a gift knitting box, which I never do. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. We'll probably just start using it, but the idea is good, right? And so that is one project that I would like to cast on in the next couple of days when I cast some of these other things off. And the other things that I would like to do is my sister, she had a little girl at the end of August of last year, and I've knit her little gray socks, like little gray booties, but that's it. And that's kind of sad. I'm a knitter and I haven't knit anything for my little niece. And so speaking of Maria Montzka from Stitched in Sweden, I was looking through my patterns that I have on my my iPad, and I had this sweater in mind and I found it. And I think it's beautiful. I'm putting it kind of on the side like this because of the ring light. But it has little hearts on there, and it's called Little Hearts Yoked Colorwork Cardigan. I'm going to make that for her. And then I'm also going to make little socks that match. And they're called Suesie Dale. And they're by Molly Klatt from A Homespun House. And I think, look, they have little hearts. I think they're going to be so sweet with the sweater. And if I'm feeling really ambitious, I'll make a hat, find a good hat pattern that I can put the color work in, so it'll have little hearts. But I'm definitely making the sweater and the booties, and we'll see about the hat. So those are my 3 future knits: a little baby sweater, booties, or like little socks, and the hat with the pom-pom. And now we're into podcast love, and I would just like to say I found such a fun podcaster, and she just started. She has 2 podcasts out, and she went completely viral. This, like, okay, I'm gonna tell you who she is, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit, just a little bit of the story. You can go watch her and hear her tell her story, but her name is Sarah, and her podcast is called The Black Sheep Knitter. When I was looking her up, there's also The Black Sheep Knitting. That's not it. Black Sheep Knitter. And her name is Sarah. She has 2 podcasts out, and she was saying in her first podcast that she had put it out and she went on vacation for a couple weeks, and when she came back, she was just blown away. She went viral. I don't even know how many, like, she had so many comments on there that she couldn't even get through it. I don't even know how many subscribers. She just went absolutely viral, and she has, like, she deserves it so much. She has such a good personality, and she's so fun, and it's like sitting there, like, talking with your friend. She is just herself, absolutely, like, through and through, and she has fun projects, and she just, like, gets you all pumped up about loving wool and knitting and all the things. So The Black Sheep Knitter, check her out if you haven't already. She is wonderful. And then the other one that I've been watching 2 other ones. The other one was Claire from the Flossi podcast, and I want to mention something that she did. I brought socks with me to show you. Claire has an episode out. She usually does podcasts, but she has a separate episode called Reinforcing Elbows. And if you watch any of her episodes, she talks about just liking plain sweaters, you know, classic sweaters. And she's wearing one in the episode, and she decided to reinforce the elbow by using this beautiful flower stitch pattern and in a circle. And she said she had seen it on Pinterest and was like pinning a couple ideas and decided just to make a separate episode about that. So go check it out. It reminded me of Fiber Tales. Fiber Tales has a sock pattern out that looks like this. These have been worn and loved. And if you look here, okay, I would just like to say this is not like, look at her socks. Look at Fiber Tail socks, because they're probably a little bit neater, but look at how cute they are. You make baubles and then you sew in the little petals using a certain method. She explains how to do it. But I love these socks, and what Claire did is use this sort of a pattern on the elbow in a circle or like an oval, and it's so gorgeous. Just a simple sweater with this detail, and it was like, she said she did it as what is that called? She's not patching it up, it's done prior to it getting, so it's like a, what is that word? Oh, I can't remember, but prior to getting the holes, you put this on to strengthen it, like just a reinforcer. That's what I'm saying. So check her out. And then the third podcaster that I've been watching is Candice English, who is the owner of the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, FDF. And I've known of Candice for years and years and years. She started her podcast last summer. I've never watched her podcast until recently, so I'm making my way through them. But I've known her as a yarn dyer since she started probably, and I think she's been dyeing yarn since 2017. So, but I've never knit with her yarn, and I've always wanted to. And then I've been watching her podcast, and which she does a great job, because she has totally got me subscribed to 2 of her subscriptions. So good job, Candice. You got me. Haven't had any subscriptions in a long time. Let me just put that out there. I'm not one to buy yarn every month and that sort of thing. My stash is pretty small. For me, I wouldn't want it that much bigger, you know, to each its own. But I'm really excited because I signed up first for her Indigenous collective, which is like First Nation artists and authors and makers that she uses as inspiration, and then her and her team will dye a yarn and send it off to her little subscribers. And I think you need to be like 2 months, you need to pay for it 2 months ahead. So I just signed up last week, so I don't think I'll get mine until March, but I'm so excited. So from March, I'll get a little package from Candice and her team, and I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see what they come up with, and I can't wait to get to know the artists and authors and makers and all the things. And then I was watching her podcast, and she started talking about her sock, what does she call it? Sock Squad subscription. And it is a monthly subscription, which I also won't receive until March, but it's like $26 or something, $29 a month, and they keep it low because it's just the yarn, and it's like a no fuss kind of thing. You sign up yourself. If you need to like unsubscribe yourself and stuff like that, so it's minimal admin stuff on their end, but that way they can keep it low. And I'm super stoked. I can't wait to finally be able to knit with her yarn and try the different, I don't remember if the Indigenous collective, if it was that one I'm leaning more towards the sock squad, that you get to try 3 different bases. I think that's the sock squad. You get to try 3 different bases, and it rotates like 3 different sock bases. I think that's right. And then the Indigenous Collective, I think it's like all kinds of bases. I saw her showing bulky weight yarn as well, so I'm excited to see how that comes out. But I'm really enjoying her podcast as well. So that's it for me. I would like to thank you for watching my episode, and if you enjoy it, please like and subscribe. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What are you making? What were you working on while you were watching this? Do you have a favorite podcaster that I haven't mentioned or that you would like to share? I would love to know. And yeah, and where are you watching from? I'd like to know that as well. So until next time, thank you so much. Hi, this is Birgitta again. Welcome back to my second podcast. I am new at this, as you can tell. This is so hard. What is wrong with me? Ugh. Hi, this is Birgitta again, Yarn Chaos podcast. I am coming to you with my second podcast. Yeah, that sounded weird. Why is this so hard? Ugh.